Hey, GW coming to you live. Just gonna move the camera here for a minute. There we go. All right, couple things real quick. First of all, I am going to talk about something that I read yesterday, and I think it's very, very stupid. You see, a while ago, back in September, I believe, of last year, Legendary Pictures, excuse me, Legendary Pictures actually announced the reboot of The Toxic Avenger, starring Peter Dinklage, Elijah Wood, and Kevin Bacon. Well, I've been anxious to really, dive into that film, watch it, because I'm a big fan of the original Trauma, Toxic Avenger, the one that I'm going to talk about in a minute. In fact, if you guys don't know about it, I did a review about it a long time ago. Check it out. It was something that really, I think, scarred me for life in a good way. But anyway, so Legendary Pictures got done filming this thing. Peter Dinklage and Elijah Wood. Basically, if you don't know the premise, it's about a janitor who inadvertently gets thrown into toxic waste, becomes a superhero, mauls his way through every bad guy in the place, and ends up saving the day and becomes a local hero. The 1984 version, I believe it was 84, was deemed critically offensive yet over the top. No movie theater would show it, but it went on to become a major hit in the market of home video. Just keep that in mind. So times have changed, ladies and gentlemen. So I read yesterday that this film was unreleasable in its current state because A, it doesn't have a distributor, which if I were Troma and Lloyd Kaufman, I'd pick that bad boy up right away. And B, it's deemed too offensive and too violent for mainstream audiences. Okay, if it's deemed too violent and too mainstream, we have other movies that are way more violent than that thing. Trust me. In a Violent Nature come out. It was released in theaters. Okay? It was a very violent movie. Probably not as violent as Toxic Avenger, but it's up there. Terrifier 2 probably is equally violent as Toxic Avenger, the reboot, was released in theaters. So my point is, I don't understand how it's unreleasable. Yeah, not everyone's going to go gravitate to a violent superhero movie where the superhero rips people's heads off, mauls them, puts a guy's head in a car engine, apparently, and the director of it kept going to Legendary and saying, is this okay? And Legendary's like, yeah, we like what we see. We're going to keep helping you. Now it doesn't have a distributor. So some people are saying it's going to be the next form of lost media. I really hope not, because it sounds like it's a very interesting movie to watch and to see why it was actually put on the unreleasable thing. Another thing that can be done is you could send it straight to streaming, which I would buy it. I'm not going to lie, I'd buy it. And I know a lot of other people would buy the movie too because they're fans of the original. So that I wanted to comment on how stupid that situation is, because I think that there's plenty more things out there more way violent than the Toxic Avenger. And I think that if given the right distributor, if they're thinking money, they could pick up a franchise and maybe make 2 or 3 of them. I mean, all through the era of the VHS, if a movie was deemed too violent for movies, it went right to video. Well, in today's world, it'd be coming right to streaming. So I don't understand the whole dilemma, and I think it's stupid, and I would love to watch Peter Dinklage rip up people. Because A, he's a good actor. B, this would be a step in another direction for him. And C, fans of the original Toxic Avenger would love to see how basically it evolved. And believe me, there's a lot of other things in the movie that I've pretty much read about. And it's not just, Peter Dinklage ripping up people. It touches on environmental issues. It touches on social issues. And seeing Elijah Wood play an evil conglomerate would be great. I would like it. So definitely keep your eye out. Who knows if this thing is going to be released or not. So we're just going to let it be. Because I have nothing else on it. Another thing that's really stupid is that lately I've been watching the news and I've been seeing how stupid some of these stories are. There is a rapper who I just got into. His name's BG. He's from down south. And I don't know why I like the down south rappers. I've always have, since 2 Live Crew, Luke, and all them. But apparently rap is now a crime, ladies and gentlemen. So any rapper out there, you might want to watch yourself, because apparently if you say something that the federal government doesn't like, they want you to turn in lyrics to them. Yeah, that's stupid to me, because it takes away an artist's freedom of expression. It really does. It's like saying, okay, you can buy a car, okay? Wait, let me come up with a better analogy, because that one wasn't working. Actually, any analogy I come up with is equally as stupid, but I think it's dumb. Yeah, rappers are going to get into trouble, they're going to get in jail, but for them to actually have to submit lyric sheets, first of all, the federal government isn't even going to understand half of what BG's talking about, because they don't come from the same neighborhoods, they don't live in the same block. All they're looking for is objectionable stuff. And they've been doing this stuff since I was a kid. You guys remember 2 Live Crew trial? They went on trial because they had explicit lyrics, and they actually went to the Supreme Court over a number of things, and the Supreme Court's like, yeah, let it be. It's the same thing. So if rapping is a crime, why don't we start back in the beginning? Why don't we arrest Mother Goose? If you're going to point the finger at something, might as well start there. And I think it's stupid. I really do. I don't think the government should have any place in regulating music unless it's deemed very, very, very offensive, which I look at rap music, I look at heavy metal music, I look at all this type of music, right? I've been on this earth 45 years, guys. I can see how it would offend some people who don't leave the house, but I don't see how it can offend regular, everyday Joe, goes to work, here's the F word, gets picked on, gets kidded with. It just don't affect nobody. And I think the whole thing's stupid. I don't think you have to turn in, lyrics to rap songs. I think the whole thing's stupid. And yet his partner, Little Boozy, who just got out of jail, nothing. And they performed together. So my point is, if you're going to go after one, why don't you go after all of them? Because it's stupid and it's ridiculous. And I think it's just the dumbest thing in history. But, that's one of the stories that, I'm reading. You guys can check it out. He is ordered to turn in his lyrics to the federal government. Never in my life have I heard such a crazy thing. But I'm going to support BG because I got like 3 of his 10 albums. I'll tell you what, the guy's good. He's really good. So anyway, there's that. Now I'm gonna prop somebody. Where I work, there's a girl, her name's Stephanie Lawhead, and her husband actually bought a gas station, guys. And it's right up the road from me. And I'm telling you, it's called Lawhead's Gas Station, full service auto repair and convenience store. It's 1347 West Sunbury Road, West Sunbury, PA 16061. They service your car so you don't have to. And I'm telling you something, guys. I've been through there twice, and the 2 times I was there, I got gas. And let me tell you something. This is old school stuff. They come out, you pop your gas tank, they fill the gas. You never see that anywhere. I don't care where you go. You never see that. You never see anybody pump gas for you. And I think that's awesome. I actually wanted to tip Mr. Bob Lawhead, but I was told not to by his wife Stephanie, because they said that they're keeping the tradition alive. And I think that's a cool thing. And they do everything, and they're wonderful people. Like I said, I've known Stephanie probably. I've been down there at the mine 16 years. I've probably known her 14. She's a very nice lady. She's very hip. She's very cool. And sometimes you guys will see her working there. And all of them, they're just great people. And stop there. Give them some business, guys, because they're really awesome. And they're really good people, you know. And they treat everybody like family, at least what I can see. So check out Lawhead Service Station. I hope you guys really do, and I hope you guys give them some business. Now let's move on to the review that I have for you guys today, and it's a very sick little movie. It's a very sick little gem, and it's by Unearthed, and it's very, very hard to find, but I know probably some of you guys can find it. It's called Cannibal, and it is directed by Marion Dora, and it stars Frank Karsten and Victor Brandel. And there's not much fanfare for this movie because this movie was based on an actual cannibal case over in, I think, London or Germany. Really doesn't say. But basically, this was based, like I said, just really quickly off an actual case about a guy over in London, Germany, one of those cities. They don't really tell you, but given the writing and the print that I see through the movie, I'm thinking it's Germany. There was a guy who was heavily deep into cannibalism, and he gets on the computer, and he's looking for somebody who's willing to let him eat them. That's basically the story. Couple of dates. I guess he goes on dates, and he doesn't target women, guys. So this is truly a guy-on-guy deal, and I don't really watch this. This was very, very very far cry from Brokeback Mountain. There's really no. Well, there's one scene of gay sex actually, and I left the room to go grab a Coke because I didn't know it was coming. But it plays on the fact that he wants to do this very infamous act so bad that it drives him crazy. And he finally finds a guy that lets him do this to them. And the one thing I will say is you guys can pretty much piece the story together, but the gore effects, first of all, are very, very realistic. Whoever did the gore for this did a hell of a good job. And this is on a very limited budget, I can tell you that. Number two, you're not only sickened but fascinated by how common this guy is, you know, and how the story comes unraveling to you. It's a very hard to watch, especially the second half of this movie is pretty much all gore. And it's something that, again, going back to my previous argument about the Toxic Avenger, this was released. And if anybody out there has ever saw this movie, this was probably, it's shorter than the Toxic Avenger. However, it is probably more realistically gory than the Toxic Avenger itself. And you know what? It did turn my stomach, and in that fact, it did a good job. It sickened you, it fascinated you, and for 89 minutes, you were actually put in a crime scene. You saw the beginning, you saw the middle, and you saw the end. And like I said, this film is very, very hard to find. So if you guys do come upon it, it's pretty sick. And being shot on a limited budget, it looks like something that would be a found footage sort of deal from a crime scene. I mean, some of the things in this movie look too real. I'm just going to say that. And that's where I think this movie shines. Of course, you know it's all fake, but it looks very real, and it's done very realistic, is what I'm saying. And it has that aura of, you know, this could actually happen. The other weird thing about this movie, it starts and stops in a fairy tale nature. And it gives it a little bit of a macabre feeling, you know. So I give it probably 7 out of 10. But yeah, I don't understand. And speaking of other movies that, push envelopes, and this is my argument on why the Toxic Avenger should be released. I did a review a couple years ago about Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer and how you had to be 18 to buy that DVD. That was not mainstream early. That was a midnight film. Okay? That only had a limited, very, very limited, if I can remember right, theatrical run, and I think it went right to video after that. But it's stupid. It's unreleasable. It's stupid, and I don't see why. And that's what this whole movie talk segment is going to be about: is why can't that movie be released due to the violence when there's so many other things in this world that are much more not only violent but envelope pushing. Yeah, I didn't understand it. And I don't understand it. And I don't think Legendary understands what they're doing with this movie. You know? But, yeah, it's definitely, this movie Cannibal was definitely button pushing. I actually feel like I need to drink a coffee after watching this thing. But, yeah, I don't know. So, I didn't cover this, but the girl from Psycho, or not Psycho, The Shining, Shelley Duvall, she passed away. So did Shannon Doherty. So did Richard Simmons. And it seems like this month more than anything, we're losing people from Hollywood left and right. I mean, we lost a kid that played an elf, Benji Gregory. Lost Shannon Doherty, who a lot of people loved on 90210. She also did a few movies. She did Mallrats, one of my favorite movies with Kevin Smith. She did Charmed, excuse me, with Alyssa Milano, another one of my favorites. It's funny, you don't realize how good they act until somebody's gone. And every time I turn on my TV, it says In Memoriam 90210, Shannon Doherty, and it's bittersweet. Richard Simmons came out of nowhere. And Richard Simmons used to be everywhere. He used to be a frequent guest on the Howard Stern show, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're interested in Howard Stern, you could look up some of those old shows on there. And they're fun. And I always liked the chemistry between Richard and Howard, because Richard would come in being the all-happy guy, and Howard would try to mess with him, and it would be great. And it was just wonderful. He was on those old Channel 9 shows a lot. So if you ever find them on YouTube, look those up. And like I said, Shelley Duvall come out of nowhere. She also played Olive Oil on the Robin Williams 1980s movie Popeye, which doesn't get a lot of love. I actually love that stupid movie because I thought it stayed true to the cartoon, and Robin Williams is perfect as Popeye. So if you guys haven't seen that one yet, give it a shot. But, she was pretty good. Shelley Duvall, she was a very good actress. And like I said, she'll best be remembered for the movie The Shining. But it's crazy how many celebrities we're losing left and right. And Donald Sutherland kicked the bucket. Donald Sutherland, you guys, made a Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He made the remake in 1970 something, 76 maybe. And there's always that one picture, guys, where he's sitting there going like that. And that's the most famous thing that I think he'll remembered for. The Sutherlands are great actors. Donald Sutherland, he was also on Animal House as the professor. He dated, He dated the girl that was in Indiana Jones as the barkeep, played Marion. But he dated her character in the movie, and it was great. Um, but yeah, the Sutherlands are great. Kiefer Sutherland, Donald Sutherland, they're really great actors. And again, you know, it's sad. It's sad from a viewer standpoint because you're gonna have the only thing that you guys got or that we have is their performances. You know, but it's like that's the last one. Like they never put out anything else because they passed away, and it's sad because you miss sort of some of the acting and the characters they play. But it hasn't been a good week in Hollywood or a good month in Hollywood. I'll tell you that. And then, of course, I'm not even going to touch this topic, but I'll gloss over it. As many of you know, there was an assassination attempt here in Butler and of Donald Trump. It's all over the news. It's blowing up all over the place, and it's going to continue to do that for a very long time. I will tell you guys a couple of things. We were going to go to that thing. We had an appointment at number 1 Cochrane that morning. And so we were already through there. We saw the billboards. We saw the whole deal. And I thought it was awesome. And they had vendors setting up. And I'm like, hey, let's go get a t-shirt. And when we drove past, you couldn't pull into the farm show grounds because they had it all roped off. And we had couple other things to do that morning, so we didn't really come back. We get here, and my mom says that my grandma had fallen. That was in the afternoon. So we had come home, did some housework, and my wife heard you had to buy tickets for this thing. So we didn't even know anything about that. Now, had we would have known, yes, Greg would have jumped on the computer and got it, yes. And we had a lot of friends go to this thing, And we were doing so much housework, I forgot the thing was even on. And my mom called me and she said, someone's shooting at Trump. And I said, what? And within minutes, it was everywhere, But we knew probably about 16 people, 17 people that went. And your mind switches from housework to whatever, to hatred, to fear that something's going to happen to the people you know. And then, of course, it played out, and it's still going on. And I don't want to talk too much about it because it is a touchy subject for me, at least right now. But I can tell you all the people, most of our friends are okay. My wife's friend is the one that got killed. And I don't really want to talk anymore about that because I know, again, that's a touchy subject. And from the people that were there, whenever I talked to them next day at work, they said it was nothing short of crazy and like really weird. Like you didn't know what was happening, even though that you knew your mind couldn't process that someone was shooting. I have a lot to say about it, but I don't want to get into it because my political opinions will come out and I don't want to upset anybody here. And all I'm saying is that everything in the world kept us away from that rally, even though I had my heart hell-bent on going. Maybe it was God trying to tell me to stay away. And again, I'm not going to talk very much about this. I'm just going to end it by saying I'm glad that most of our friends are okay. And I'm very, very sorry that Dawn lost one of her friends. And that's real, It's a far cry from this movie crap and whatever. And it just goes to show you that when conflicting opinions happen and you don't like somebody, how it escalates so damn quick to the point of extreme violence. I come on here all the time. I talk about, violence in movies. I give you guys a countdown, whatever. But people that really know me know that I am one of the most passive, friendliest, I will give you the coat off my back type person. And I get that from my mom and dad. I think they raised me pretty well. And I sometimes don't see how people can be that out there, with that. But that's just me. But anyway, yeah, definitely check out Lawheads. Keep an eye on the Toxic Avenger. Hopefully, somebody picks this bad boy up because there's money in it, and there's a lot of franchise work they can do. So, and if you get a minute and you're looking for a very very good, gory, realistic movie, check out Marion Dora's Cannibal. It's a very very hard film to really process, but I don't know. And the scariest part of this movie is that somewhere over in the London FBI or the Germany FBI, wherever this takes place at, there's an actual videotape of the actual events that occurred on this film that are probably way, way gorier than this. And what the other thing that's really interesting about this movie is they make the cannibal like so regular, mundane that you'd never suspect anything. He comes across as actually being kind of a sissy until pushed. So, like I said, interesting little gem. And Marion Dora did one hell of a good job with money. This is not a big budget movie by any means to stretch the imagination. It is not. And it's from 2006. So you guys check it out if you can find it. It's definitely worth the watch. I liked it, but I liked it for being realistic. But part of you wants to go watch like a girl on girl movie and wash the gay crap out of your mind. I'm sorry, wash the heterosexual content out of your head because I don't want to be, Anyway, it's GW, and I will catch you on the flip side.